Hey, it's Gigi at Spoon, and I am here to show you some great cooking techniques so we can all make it through this quarantine situation together. Just so you know, at Spoon Restaurant this week, we are offering this winter chicken dinner. It's a dinner for 4 people. It includes a whole free-range chicken that's roasted and all rubbed with spices and herbs and stuff like that. And then we have 4 different sides. We have our arugula salad, a little organic arugula with my tahini goddess dressing, some feta, sunflower seeds. Our linguine with roasted garlic, tomatoes, and a little bit of fresh Parmesan. We also have our roasted vegetables and buttery mashed potatoes. So I totally welcome you to pick one of those things up. Order the day ahead. We're only going to be open until Monday the 30th, but we're hoping to maybe make this a weekend thing if it kind of takes off. But once you pick up your dinner, you're definitely welcome to eat the whole thing, like 4 of you or whatever, just sit down and eat all the stuff. That's a dinner for 4. But what I want to do is I'd rather stretch it out and teach you a little bit of survival skills. I need a little sip of wine real quick. That's part of my survival skills and my wonderful camera person, Lisa, who's one of our servers and good friends from across the street. So as we're drinking here, we're going to show you how to stretch that dinner for 4 into 6 dinners for 4, just by using some of the things you may have in your pantry, a couple of things from the freezer, and a few little fresh bits of produce that you might be able to find at the grocery store. It's inexpensive and it's also super tasty, and each night you have something that tastes completely different. So if you're single or just a couple, then that's not a problem. You can just make a lot and then be able to freeze it, and then you have meals going on for the next couple of weeks. So just to kind of bring you over here, we have a whole roasted chicken. And what I do is I always, when I get one of these, if I get it wherever, rotisserie, whatever, I get it and I break down all the meat that I can get off of there, and some of it I leave on the body, not a problem. And then I separate it in 4 little stacks. 4 of our 6 recipes are going to include chicken. So I just went ahead and separated it. You can always put it in bowls, baggies, whatever, store it, freeze it. But it makes it so you can then use this body to make some soup. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, starting off right now, the Mexican style chicken soup. And you can add any other vegetables or anything that you have going on. I heated up some oil here in a nice little soup pot. And I've got this little bowl that has some mirepoix, which is basically onions, carrots, celery, and a little bit of garlic and some salt. And we're going to get that down in this pan. Don't be afraid to kind of have a little high heat for a while. If you see a little burning on the edges of the pan, it's really not that big a deal, because what I'm trying to do is get some caramelization and get some of these like kind of sticky, funky bits on the bottom of the pan that are just going to add more flavor to the soup. So I'm going to saute that for just a little bit and get some browning going on the edge of the carrots and onions. If you want to take it till it's super duper brown, that's totally fine. If you just want to do it till it sweats and has a little browning on the edge, that's totally fine too. So as that's kind of doing its thing, I don't stir it the whole time. I want the heat to be able to kind of sear it, and if a couple bits get burnt, dude, for me that's just like really good flavor. So stirring it up just a little bit, you can kind of see how some of the juices are starting to come out. The fact that I added salt to it is also getting all of those juices kind of coming right into the pan, and those natural sugars are going to emerge, and those are going to caramelize, because basically caramelizing is just making sure you're adding flavor. It gets nutty and roasty and buttery. So I just want to kind of point a couple things out. I am going to be posting all of these recipes on our website and on Facebook, and I'm going to try and do it on Instagram if I can figure out the whole techie thing, because I'm not really tech friendly, but I'm trying, because I'm just trying to make it so we can still connect with each other even if over the airwaves. But one of my suggestions too is go through the recipes. You can prep all these in one day. Lisa and I, we totally sat here for like about an hour and a half, like just kind of measuring stuff, prepping stuff, getting things put together according to the steps in the recipes. And that way you can get everything kind of cut up and ready and measured. So you can either cook them all like one night each week this week, or you can cook them all in one day and then package them up and have them ready, and so that when you're kicking it and you're drinking your wine or your tea or whatever, and like, you know, totally cracking out on some British, you know, show on Netflix, which is what I usually do, well then, you know, I'll be darned, you'll have everything ready and you can just kick it, never have to leave the couch, except for just heat up some of these goodies and eat them, or share them with your family. Like, not family from another town, but the family that's right here because we're staying in place. Okay, so let's look back at this pot real quick. I've got a little browning going on some of the edges here. Because I want to kind of get going with this, and I want to start building some flavor, and I'm going to use that the body of the chicken, that carcass, I'm going to use that in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my liquids. The next step, besides after sauteing whatever vegetables I had, is I'm going to take this liquids. This is some organic chicken stock. This is some of my favorite salsa verde. You can use any brand you want or any kind you want. It just adds flavor to the whole thing. I just happen to like the Herdez salsa verde. It adds a lot of flavor to soups and roasts and things like that. We've got some cumin and chili powder, and we've got some water. You hear that sizzling? That's the sound that you want. If you're cooking and there's no sound at all coming from it, then you're not really cooking. You want to get all of these wonderful bits of the salsa from the bottom of this container. And you see that we put everything together, so I separated everything. There's basically in the 3 steps that are involved in this recipe. It just makes it a lot easier, and then you have a lot less cleanup at the end of your whole thing, which again, when you're totally kicking it doing the Netflix and chill thing, the last thing you want to do is just be sitting there watching a ton of dishes. So, we're going to go ahead and let that start coming to a boil. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and gently add my chicken body to this stuff right here, and I'm just going to let it kind of sink in there. And what it's going to do is, number one, it's going to make it so we can get more of that meat off of the body. Once it's cooked in there, it's simmered, it's falling off the bone. Awesome. I'm not going to stir it at this point because I don't want the body to kind of break up and have little bones and stuff that I'm trying to search through my soup for, because I'm trying to do this all in one pot without having to do anything else separate. So I'm just going to let that come to a boil. It's on high heat. Let it come to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down to like a medium simmer and just let it rip for like about 20-30 minutes, and that'll be the beginning stages of getting our soup done. Okay, and I'll show you the rest of that in just a little bit. So now that that's happening, I'm going to be making a Thai chicken pizza. I make my own pizza dough most of the time, but you can totally use like a boboli or one of those cauliflower crusts. Just in case you're making one of those cauliflower crusts, I do suggest that you cook it for like 15 minutes before you start putting your toppings on. Sometimes it says only 5-10 minutes. That really usually isn't enough if you want something kind of crispy. So that's just a little tip from me. I'm going to start by making my sauce. It's basically just like a little kind of Thai spicy peanut sauce. So you're going to see right here that what we have in this little pan is some coconut milk, a little Thai curry. If you didn't have Thai curry, just go ahead and use other curry powder or whatever you got. We have freshly grated ginger and garlic. We've got some peanut butter. I always do this for other people that are allergic to peanuts. I do the whole thing with other kinds of nut butters or seed butters if you want to. We've got some chiles, a little bit of honey, and some rice vinegar. And I'm just going to basically stir this stuff together so it's a little bit smooth. And all I want to do, and you'll see a little steam emerging from there, all I want to do is just get it so it's really nice and smooth and all together, and that it heats up just a little bit and gets warm. I don't want to cook this. It's not something that you have to simmer and cook for a long time. So this is what I'm saying. When people are buying jars of peanut sauce, I'm always kind of like, why, dude? It takes like 2 minutes to make it. Really, literally 2 minutes to make it. And you don't want to cook it a bunch because the proteins in the nut butter are then going to get too thick. So if you feel like it's way too thick, you can always thin it out with a little bit of water, a little bit of stock, or even just another splash of coconut milk, because I think we used probably like a little less than a half a can of that unsweetened coconut milk. All right, so you'll see that comes together. I'm just going to turn the heat up for just a second till this stuff just starts to barely want to kind of bubble. And then our sauce is pretty much done. This has a little bit of tamari. You can also use a splash of fish sauce if you wanted to. Soy sauce, Bragg's amino acids, coconut aminos, whatever it is, it's going to give you like an umami and kind of saltiness to this. All right, so that's kind of come together. That's like the whole thing. Now, if you're feeling even lazier than I am these days, which most people are and a little discouraged, don't worry. We can go ahead and buy some peanut sauce at the store. I've heard that they have plenty of it. It's not one of the things that people have been hoarding, like toilet paper and tampons. So we basically are going to go ahead and buy some if you're feeling like you don't want to get any more. So here is a crust. I just make my own. It takes me literally 5 minutes to put together. Just a little bit of yeast with some warm water and olive oil, a little bit of salt and flour, mix it together, roll it out, pop it in the oven and par bake it. So it's pretty much done. So it's just about, because I like mine crispy, so it's just about ready for me to put all my stuff on it, pop it in the oven, and basically you're done. So I'm going to take about half of my sauce, maybe even a little bit less, and I'm going to spread that down on my crust. So, a couple of heaping spoonfuls. And to go all the way to the edge. I don't understand when people are leaving an edge. It's not like you're carrying your pizza around, you know, so you don't need that extra edge to carry it around, because that's always the edge that people don't eat because you don't have any goodies on it. So I don't need a handle for my pizza. I just want to make sure that all my goodies go all the way up to the edge so the whole entire thing is delicious. That's kind of what I'm into these days, is making sure that everything is delicious. Okay, so you see that little stuff there? Oh, look at our phone is ringing. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a stack of my chicken, and I'm going to just sprinkle that on there. And it's already cooked and ready to roll. Just ignore my phone, you guys. That's someone trying to desperately call us and order our mac and cheese, or order our little, steal a little more from that other pile, or order one of those chicken dinners. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and get our cheese on there. This one is like a shredded cheddar. You can use mozzarella, you can use provolone, jack, like really kind of whatever you have going on. And yes, cheese is not part of the Thai diet, but nor is pizza crust, so whatever. So this is yummy. You can get this at some of those Southern California wood-fired pizza places for a lot of money, or you can just do this. Okay, then I'm going to add a little bit of the shredded carrots. There we go. And then we're going to pop this little guy in the oven. When it comes out, I'm going to drizzle a little more sauce on it and garnish it with some cilantro, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you had some bell peppers, if you had some Thai basil, like, the sky's the limit, dude. So if you have a little chunk of bell pepper, a little chunk of veggie that you've been ignoring in the bottom of the drawer this whole time, now's your chance to chop it up, pop it on a pizza, and make some use of it. I'm going to pop this in the oven, and then I'll be with you in just a second. Okie dokie, so our soup has been cooking. This chicken has been in there kind of like a big tea bag, offering all this flavor to all the things that are already going on. I haven't been stirring it because I want to make sure that I can pull this out as whole as I possibly can out of that liquid and make sure that it kind of drips off. I'm going to transfer it to a plate. I am going to go through this and pick all the little bits of chicken off of it, but I'm going to do that in just a little bit because I have some other ingredients to add to the pot. So now I've got this at a rolling boil again. I want to kind of start it that way. I'm adding a can of black beans. I'm adding a big potato that I small diced. It's got a little bit of soy sauce in here and some lime juice, so I can add again a little bit more flavor. Oh, and I also need to add some tomatoes to this. I was going to just garnish it with it, but I'm going to add a few tomatoes to this so it adds like a little more flavor. One thing I forgot in my little pile here, but it's not just some for garnish, but some for the inside. And now we're going to bring that back up to a boil. We're going to then turn it down just to like a medium boil and just let it rip again until we feel like our potatoes are fork tender or just tender enough to be served. At this point, I can also go ahead and add another stack of my chicken so I can get all this flavor and stuff in there. So there's that. Let's let her do that thing. I just pulled our pizza out of the oven as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that over here. You can see that we have this whole melted gooey yumminess. We also have our little carrots that got a little bit kind of like crunchy just on some of the edges. And our cheese is melted. And we've got this crunchy, wonderful goodness going on. I'm going to grab our sauce and just add a little bit more on there. Sometimes when I'm going to drizzle it, I want to add just a little bit of water to it. So I'm just going to put a splash in here, pardon me, and just kind of thin it out a little bit. It does kind of thicken as it sits. So you just kind of mix it in a little bit and thin it out as much as you'd like. If you have leftover sauce, this is great for dipping, but holy Toledo, you can make a Thai chicken salad if you wanted to, or Thai veggie salad or anything like that. You could thin this out with just a little bit more water and a little bit more vinegar and some lime juice, and it becomes a salad dressing. So it's that quick and easy. So now I'm just going to go ahead and drizzle this on the pizza. It's got spice to it. It's got a little sweetness. We have our crunchy little crust there, our homemade crust. I'm going to go ahead and put some fresh cilantro on this guy. If you have green onions, if you had some of that Thai basil like I said before, oh my goodness, it's going to be great. And that is our Thai pizza. So what you guys just missed was Lisa and I pigging out on some of that yummy pizza. It's so good. The perfect amount of spice in the sauce and everything. And while that whole thing was happening, we washed a couple dishes. The soup just kept on kind of cooking up on the stove, and our little bits of potato are now like totally done. Fork tender, you can easily push a fork into it. So it's ready to serve. Like that, it's literally that easy to make this soup. And look at how much we made. I mean, this is more than 4 people's worth. This is 4 people's worth plus a little bit extra. You can even retain the juices for something else if you wanted to. So I'm just gonna spoon some in here in our big giant bowl. You can make small bowls or cups or whatever with it. What I like to do with this kind of soup is I like to gather the family around, and in the middle of the table, I'll put the pot of soup and bowls, and everyone kind of serves themselves. But what's really fun is that you put all these toppings, like tortilla soup style. So some crunched up little tortilla chips, some avocado, some tomato, extra lime, maybe shredded cabbage, maybe some Mexican cheese, cotija or panela cheese. Those are always my favorites. So we've got this nice little like beautiful, healthy, steaming, gorgeous bowl, which is great for the fact that it's like snowing today. And then we would just kind of garnish it with a little bit of avocado and a little bit more of the cilantro, just kind of break it up a little bit. The stems are totally good for you. And FYI, getting as many greens as you possibly can is a wonderful idea. And then you can like squeeze a little bit of lime, extra lime in there, which I always like to do. You can always squirt a little hot sauce, that kind of stuff, and then just serve it up. And there we have our gorgeous chicken soup that's like this beautiful like Mexican flavors. So stay tuned tomorrow when we're gonna go ahead and post another wonderful recipe. I'll be making a chicken shepherd's pie, and I can't even remember what else, something else. What else are we making? Pasta fagioli. Yeah, chicken shepherd's pie and pasta fagioli. All right, thanks.